Hello, good evening everybody. Welcome to another episode of Sunday Night Live with me, Jonny Lipsham, here at jonnylipshamstudios.co.uk. Don't you just love it when I click on the wrong damn thing to start my show? Yes, that was a wonderful start to my show. Thanks for that, Keith. That's hilarious. I didn't even know that place even existed, so that's interesting. I know European place names. There are some very entertaining, very amusing place names, which we won't go into. But yes, thanks for that, Keith. I appreciate it. All right, so hello everybody. Welcome. I hope everybody is doing well and has had a great second half of their week after my Songwriting Simplified show on Wednesday. I have had a very good week. It's been nice, quiet, chilled, relaxed, not too stressed. It's been good. I am still sneezing like a monsoon, which means I have to wipe everything down regularly. But yeah, it's still ongoing. It could be ongoing for quite some time. But yeah, I'm living with it. It's fine. I'll get through it. I'm tough. I'm Scottish. So, so yes, welcome to Sunday Night Live. Just by way of reminder, speaking of, the Songwriting Simplified show, on Wednesday this week, there will be no show. Okay, so if you come to the channel expecting there to be a Songwriting Simplified show, there will not be one because I will be out of town. I will be down at Fender HQ for a couple of days. I know that when I say Fender HQ, you guys immediately think of California and the head office over there. Well, there's also a head office for the EMEA region. EMEA basically means Europe, Middle East, and Africa and all of that. So, and Australasia. That part of the world for Fender is headquartered in the town of East Grinstead, just outside of London. So that's where I'm headed for a couple of days. I'm really looking forward to it. I've never actually been there, so this is going to be cool. This is going to be very cool. I'm really looking forward to going and checking out the Fender Europe, I guess you could call it, Fender EMEA head office. It should be pretty cool. I'm just noticing that my audio from my mic is a little bit on the low side, so bear with me just a minute whilst I go and adjust that. I don't know why it's so quiet. Anyway, let's take it up a couple of clicks. That should do it, hopefully. So yeah, so that's kind of where I'm headed on Wednesday, and then I'm back on Friday, so I will be back for Sunday Night Live next week. So what we might do for Sunday next week is I might take some songwriting questions as well as the normal Studio One questions, since, you know, we didn't have a show on Wednesday, so we'll maybe split the show into two, kind of songwriting, kind of Sunday Night Live, all on Sunday. So I think that's probably what we will do next week, to make up for the fact that you're not going to get me on Wednesday. All right, so let's go see who was here. If I go up to the top, we can see that Billy Morgan was the first one in, followed by Ron Figura, who is testing whether Chrome works for him for getting into the chat. I know he's had some issues getting into the chat recently, and it looks like it works. Christina was here as well. She, because it's very, very late for her, she is probably not here right now, but I guess she will check out the replay. So I'm going to say hello, Christina. I hope you're doing well. Mike Johnson is here. He popped in early. So, I mean, there's somebody that really is in the future because he is in the Philippines. So this is going to be like very early morning for him. This is probably like breakfast time, something like that for him. So, if he's been up all night, then he's going to be very, very tired. So he may or may not pop back. We shall see. In fact, it looks like he did. So that's great. I'm glad you're here, Mike. If you're here still. Boris Dancy is also here. Dwayne is here as well. Bobby Booth is here. Stephen Wilson is here. John Lake and John Hawk are also here. And John Hathwaite. We've got 3 Johns in a row right there. Tony Cadona is here as well. Kyle Tradusiak is here. Don Oliver is here. And Keith from Radio Tuck Trumpet is also here. He is on a wee break at the moment from Radio Tuck Trumpet. So he is having a well-deserved summer break, and hopefully his station will be back up and running in, I guess, September, October time, something like that. Hopefully, that'd be nice if he gets that back up and running. So yes, John Lake, long time no see. I'm glad you're here, mate. Thank you for coming back. I appreciate it. Billy Morgan is here. Tony Cadona has a question, which we'll get to in just a minute. Dave Barcelo is here. Old School Funk Assault is here, who says that he went to school close to East Grinstead. Yes. I actually taught in a school near East Grinstead, not quite East Grinstead, but yes. I taught drums in a school there for a while. Carl says, "Oh, we're gonna get you. You won't know where. You won't know when." That's hilarious, Kyle. That's very funny. And Keith is confirming, yes, absolutely back on come September. So, I'll read that again. Absolutely back on coming September. So, yes, so we will have Keith and his radio station back up and running in September, which is awesome. Everybody should be very happy with that. So, if you have original songs that you have made using Studio One, get them over to Keith, and he will play them on his radio station for you. And I would say go and check it out anyway when he restarts it in September. And to kind of whet your appetite, go over to his YouTube channel, and you can catch previous shows, and you can kind of see the kind of thing that he does. So yeah, go check those out. I'm sure he would appreciate that. Billy is saying that they might Zoom if I'm not doing a show. Well, I mean, I may well join you. I will see. It depends on what I'm doing by the time I arrive at Fender. There may be some kind of evening event on, so I may or may not. We'll see. So Tony says, why does Studio One now show that I am in Dolby Atmos mode? I can't seem to reset my mixer and I/O settings to the default settings. What did I do wrong? Now, here's the thing with Dolby Atmos. The only way that Dolby Atmos actually appears in Studio One is if you select it to. That's the only way it does it. It doesn't do it kind of by accident. It doesn't just magically appear. It's not something that you very easily set up. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to go back over to the start page in Studio One so I can show you how this works. Select the right thing. There we go. All right. So if I click on new song here, and then if I go templates, I have to remember how you do this. So if I click on this one here, mix in surround, okay, and then if I click on this, I'm not going to do it because if I do it, it will kill the stream. So I'm not going to do it. But if I click on this guy here, it will open up a new song in Dolby Atmos. So how do you get out of that? Well, close the song is the first thing to do. Okay, just close the song. Don't save it. Close it. And then instead of clicking on mix in surround and clicking on this, click on record and mix, and this will set up a normal stereo session. Okay, It will just set up a completely normal stereo session like you are used to in Studio One since before version 6.5. Okay? My camera's not on. I can fix that. There we go. So yes, so this will just open up a normal stereo session that Studio One has had since 2009 with version 1.0. Okay? And to get into Dolby Atmos, you have to actually select this template here. It doesn't open otherwise, because as you can see here, there is no option to select it. Okay? There's just no option. See, if I scroll through all the settings here, there is just literally no option to select surround sound or Dolby Atmos. It just doesn't do it. It does not appear, so it cannot be selected. I was about to accidentally change that time signature there because I moused over it. So that's what you need to do. So if you want to do Dolby Atmos, click on this guy and you'll see that you get these options here. You get the bed format. So if you've got multiple speakers, or if you're using the headphone monitoring option, which you can do in Dolby Atmos, where you get basically it emulates the multiple speakers in a pair of stereo headphones, then you can do that. Will your song be lost? Well, if you've actually already started the song, probably, because all of your I/O is not going to be set up for stereo. It's going to be set up for this. So what I suggest you do, if you want to keep all the information, all the stuff you've already recorded, is export the stems. Okay? Just go into, I think it's song, and then export stems. And when you do that, then you can open those in a new song. So you can export them, and then, or you can use the import song data. That's the other thing you can do. If you're using Studio One Professional, you can use import song data. So you go to song, you go import song data, and then you select all the stuff that you want to import, and then you create a new song that is not Atmos, that is using this template here, and then you import the song data into that new song, and then everything that you recorded in that Atmos song should come over into your new song. All right, so that should totally have you sorted out. So another way in which you can get to spatial audio is what they call it, is if you go into song here. Although you have to have a new song created. So if I go song, new song, I'm actually going to use my blank new song template here. And this opens up a new song. So if I go with that song open, then I go to spatial audio, then I can change this mode here into surround or Dolby Atmos. But again, this is something that you have to select. This is not something that just does it by itself. You have to select it. Okay? But that's one way in which that will happen for you. Okay? So don't click on spatial audio and don't click on mix in surround if you don't want a surround sound or Atmos setup in Studio One. Alrighty. Hopefully that answers that question. Mike is saying it's 7:15 a.m. in the Philippines. Awesome. 7:15 in the morning. That's kind of breakfast time, I guess. Tony says, I think I probably just didn't see what I was doing. Will my song be lost? Okay. Nope. Your song shouldn't be lost. What you'll want to do is do the import song data. So if you're not sure how to do the import song data, we can quickly go over that. So, for example, let me open up this song here. All right. This is an instrumental version of a song that I wrote, 15 years ago. It's going to be about 15 years ago. It might even be longer than that ago. And I wrote this as, I wrote this as a children's song. It does have a vocal, and it was written for a compilation album, which was basically contemporary children's songs. So children's songs that sound cool, that sound sophisticated, that sound like adult songs, but they're children's songs. Um, and there were like 21 songs on this record, and I think I had 5 of them on the record that were mine. And this is one of them, and it's called Roaring Rocket, because basically it is about a pair of astronauts who are heading off to the moon. And in fact, it's basically a condensed, shortened storytelling of the Apollo 11 lunar mission, the first landing on the moon, basically. Written from the perspective of the 2 astronauts. So this does have a vocal, but this isn't the vocal. This is the instrumental version that I've been working on. It's not completely finished yet, but it is mostly finished yet. I will play you just a little bit of this, just so you can kind of hear what it sounds like, and then I'll show you how to do the import song data. All right, there you go. So you got a bit of a flavor of this song. I am going to release this in probably the next few weeks. I've got a few more instrumentals that I'm putting together, and I'm going to put them out as an EP of instrumental music. So because I've got quite a lot of instrumental music that I've never really properly released. I've just just put up rough mixes up onto SoundCloud, and I think it's about time I actually did proper mixes of them and put them up on my Bandcamp, where you can actually go and buy it if you want it. So that's going to be coming up pretty soon. Like I said, in the next few weeks. I just want to do some proper mixes and proper masters of all of these. As I said, they already exist. Apart from this one, they already exist up on my SoundCloud. And like I said, they're kind of in a rough mix form. But I'm going to get proper remixes, remasters done. I'll do those, and then I'll put them up on my Bandcamp. And then if you want to buy them as individual tracks, you can do. And if you want to buy as an EP, again, you can do. Now I say buy in the loosest sense of the word, because you can get them for free if you want to. If you want to have my songs for free, you can go get them. There's basically a minimum price. So you can buy them for £1 or $1 each, or you can set your own price, whatever you think the song is worth. If you think the song is really, really great, you really, really like it, and you think it's worth more than £1, then by all means put in your own value and purchase it that way. Or you can hit 0, and that way you get it for free. So you can just put $0, £0, and you can get it for free. It's entirely up to you what you want to do. And that's basically how I sell my work. And I've done that for years. I used to have very kind of fixed price settings, for many years, and maybe in the last, I don't know, 10 years or so, I decided I didn't want to do that anymore because really I wasn't shifting very many copies. So I decided, why don't I just make it whatever you want to pay for it. And if you want to pay $0 for it, that's okay. If you want to pay $100 for it, that's also okay. And any kind of value in between any of those two values or more, whatever you want to do. And that way it's up to you to decide how much you think my music is worth to you. And actually that's actually worked out much better for me than, say, £8 for or $10 for an EP. Haven't really sold a lot doing it that way versus, kind of basically saying it's up to you, the listener, to decide how much you think it's worth. That works out better. So yes, they are going to go up. Now, let's say we've got a problem with some invalid data or something like that in this song. This is not Tony's scenario. Tony's scenario is he's already started recording in an Atmos session by mistake. But he's already started working on the song and he probably likes what he's already done and he doesn't want to have to do it over. So in this particular case, you can go song and you can do import song data. So what you do is you create a new song, and we've already done that. So let's go over to that new song here. So this is now completely blank. And I can go song, import song data. And then what we do is we find that song. That's this one here. And we select that song and we go open. And when we do that, we now have all of this information. So you'll notice that none of the bus channels that I have in my Roaring Rocket song have appeared here. Currently, bus channels are not supported. Okay, neither are effects channels. Bus channels and effects channels are not supported, even though you have sends and inserts and stuff here. Currently, bus channels not supported. So what do we do about that? Well, what you do is before you do the import song data, so let's cancel that. What we do is we go over to our mix here and we find our bus channels, and here they are. And what you need to do is you need to right click each one of these and do edit automation volume. And when you do that, that creates an automation lane that appears in the main session. If I close the mixer, hang on, I need to back up a bit. There we go. And it creates an automation lane here for my bus channel. Okay. So let's go and create one. So let's go to the lead synth here and we will go edit automation volume. Boink, there it is. So if I do that for everything, if I do that for every bus channel and every effects channel, watch what now happens. If I go over to this guy here and I do that import song data thing again, import song data, Roaring Rocket, select this guy over here. And it's not going to show because I haven't actually saved the other song. So you need to save it. Once you've done all the creating the automation lanes for your bus channels, then when you hit save and you open the song in the import song data window here, you will see all of those bus channels down at the bottom here. And the cool thing is that when you do OK and you have all of these options checked, including copy files to song folder, this is really important. You've got to have that one selected. And if you do all of that, then what will happen here is all of these settings, your volume, your pans, your inserts, your sends, your instruments, events, layers, automation, all of that stuff will come across over to the new song. So what you do is you just basically select literally everything that's in this list here. And everything from this song will now be imported into this new session. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to have two copies of this song. But that's what you need to do. So you go to your Atmos song that you've started. If you've got bus channels and effects channels, do that edit automation thing, and that makes them appear in the arranger view. And then save the song, and then create a new song, which is a stereo song, not a surround song, not an Atmos song, but a regular, ordinary stereo song. And then you select the song, and then you select everything in your track list here, and then you click on OK, and it will populate. Everything will populate, and it's literally taking the old song and opening it in a new song. So another useful application of this, other than getting you out of the situation that you're in, Tony, another application is if you have a song that has got corrupted in some way. And I've dealt with somebody just recently who had this, where some corrupt audio data in one of their audio events was basically, that audio was going through a reverb plugin and throwing up a not a number error, which is invalid data. Basically, there was corruption in the audio. The plugin could not interpret the data, so it basically shut off the audio, and it resets the audio engine. And then that plugin gets flagged as a plugin that's had invalid data pass through it. And so what we did with this customer, first of all, I got him to uninstall and reinstall the plugin, because I thought it might be the plugin that's causing the problem. It wasn't, because when we reinstalled the most up-to-date version of his reverb plugin, the issue was still happening. We zeroed in to where it was happening in the specific song, and we found that it was happening in this one particular place in his song. And so what we did was I said, hey, use this import song data process to get everything from that song into a new session. And when he did that, the problem went away. The problem went away. He didn't get the invalid data error, and he didn't get the NAN, the NAN error anymore. And the song worked as it should. So sometimes that's what you need to do. So that is a useful little tip if you have a song that does that, where you get what used to be called the 666 error, where on the main out channel, it would look like it is clipped 666 times. And that's basically what we call a NAN error, not a number error. And it's to do with invalid audio data. Or it's to do with invalid data processed by the plugin, in which case there is a problem with the plugin in most cases. In this particular case, like I said, it was invalid data inside of this particular audio event. Now, he could have possibly replaced that particular audio event with another take if he had one. He didn't. There wasn't like another take he could have used for just that section. So he couldn't fix that issue to do with the specific audio event. So this was the only way to fix it. And it worked. And now his song works as it should. So this is a great little solution. I call this the import song data rescue procedure. And it works. It just works every time. It deals with it fixes corrupt data from plugins. It fixes a song where it's just gone screwy for some wonky reason that you can't figure out. Like, for example, everything's gone very, very slightly out of time for literally no reason. And songs can do that. And it can do that in any DAW. It doesn't have to be Studio One. Could be Pro Tools. Could be Ableton Live. Could be Cubase. Could be Logic Pro. This happens in every DAW. And it's not a bug in any of those other DAWs. And it's not a bug in Studio One. This is just what happens sometimes with data. Sometimes data gets stored incorrectly or written incorrectly to your user data location on your computer. This happens. Or the particular sector on the drive just goes bad. That happens more on mechanical spinning plate drives, but you do get that happening on SSD drives as well. SSD drives are not, by any stretch of the word, impregnable to failure. They can and they do fail, and sometimes you do get bad sectors on those drives. Even though they are solid state, they're not mechanical, there's no mechanical moving parts, you can still get bad storage sectors on those drives, and when that happens, it can totally screw your song. And this is a great way to try and effect a rescue. Will it work 100% of the time? No, it won't work 100% of the time. But this does work a lot of times. So you can certainly do this as a first procedure to rescue your song. So I'm going to hit cancel on this. And then I'm going to go back over to this song because I like it. But I'm also going to go and do edit. And I'm going to go history. And I'm going to remove that because I don't need that. And then I'm also going to open the mixer again. And I'm going to save it. There we go. So I hope that that helps you, Tony. I think this is a particularly great solution for you. Especially if you've already got a song that is well in progress on that Atmos mix that you've got going. All right. Let's see what else we got. Neil Thompson is here. He says, hello to the people. Like this live stream. Yes, please do. Anybody that is watching, if you like what I am doing, if you like me answering these questions, hit that like button. If, having seen a few people put in questions and you've seen how I've answered these questions, if you have a question about using Studio One, drop it in the chat now, just like Tony did, and I will do my level best to answer it for you. This is what this show is all about. It's all about helping you guys get to know Studio One better and find solutions to issues that you might be having in Studio One. Sometimes I can fix them for you right here on the show. Sometimes I can't, because what we might uncover is actually a bug. Bugs do happen. And if it is a bug, fortunately, I work for Presonus. So I can just, tomorrow morning, I can go and log this internally and hand it straight off to a developer. Just like that. And hopefully it will get fixed as quickly as they can fix it. So, so yes, Neil is giving very, very, very sound advice about liking this. But yes, if you're watching and you're not subscribed, the chat is going to be locked for you. You're not going to be able to do a thing about asking a question. But if you're watching and you want to ask a question, then hit the subscribe button, wait for 2 minutes, and then the chat will be unlocked for you. And please do say hello, because I always like to name check all my new subscribers when they show up on the show like this. So please do that. And I was trying to avoid saying do because I'm immature. Let's see. Busing is mandatory. Yes, and they must be red because buses are red. Neil Thompson says, especially in Studio One Artist version where neither channel splitter or multiband dynamics are available. Yes. Now, interestingly enough, the import song data feature is not available in the artist version either. So if you have this problem, and you might have this problem where you've got invalid data and you're using the artist version, what's your solution? Your solution is a bit less elegant. Your solution is going to be, you're going to have to print your buses for a start by routing the buses to an ordinary track. And then when you do that, you're going to have to record those in real time. And then, I mean, you don't have to do that, but that's just one thing you can do. But then you'll only end up with just your buses if you do that, because then that would make everything else completely redundant. So if you want to do a bus mix and then, bring those into a new song, you can do. Or you can do the export stems method. Export stems is dead easy. And this, I believe, should be available in the artist version. So you go to Song, Export Stems, and then you should be able to select channels or tracks. So this is where things like bus channels and reverbs and all of that do exist and are available for sending. This is cool. So what you can do in this case is do a channels sources selection, and you can also do the main out as well if you want to. So you could literally select everything. So if you select everything, that checks off the main output as well. But you probably don't want to do that, because in your new session there's going to be a main out channel already, and then all of this stuff will just get routed to that anyway. And then what you can do is you can set this to WAV file 16-bit resolution or 24-bit or 32-bit, whatever your song is at. Set the sample rate to the same session as your song. Between start and end marker is probably the best thing to do. And then set your destination. And then you can have the file names have a prefix, which basically means, in this case, I've got, let's say, for example, Vox bus, this bus channel here. When these stems get printed, this will then say Roaring Rocket Vox bus. I might not want that. So in that case, you just delete the file name prefix here. You just select that and then click delete. And then you just leave that blank. And then it would just name these just as it is in this list. Okay? And then you just click on OK. You don't want to import to track, because that will just double up your tracks. You don't want to do that. If you're using any external hardware gear, then you will want to use real-time processing. In fact, Studio One won't let you offline print these. You have to use real-time processing. Once that is done, then you just click on OK. And it will export the stems to this destination, which is that Roaring Rocket folder, stems. So once that is all done, let's imagine I've hit OK and all of that is done. I can go to that stems folder. I can open up a new song. And then in my blank new song, just like this guy over here, if I go back over to it, what I can do is I can either go into the Files tab here, and then I can locate my Roaring Rocket stems folder, and then I can open that folder, and then I can just select every stem that is in there and drag and drop them into the new session. And then everything is there. So there's two ways to kind of rescue your song. You can either use the import song data, or you can export stems. Export stems gives you your buses and your reverbs and everything else as well. And then they'll just all be there. Let's see. So I hope that kind of helps if you're using the artist version. So let's go back over here. So let's see what else we have. Billy Morgan said, "Hell, it's Studio One. Just drug it." Oh, Billy, that's hilarious. You're a funny man. Neil says, recently came to realize one advantage of the DAW controls on my PreSonus IO Station 24, silent operation rubber buttons. They're great when live recording with hypersensitive condenser mics. Correct. As you will have seen, I mean, I'm obviously live streaming and my mic is like literally right in front of me, just a little bit out of shot, so you can't see it. But if I press this play button, I mean, there you probably heard that. Me just pressing the stop button. If I really jab at it, you can hear that on the mic. But if I really just gently soft press it, then you don't hear that happen. So I used to have the old fader port, the fader port classic, which was the silver one, and that had click buttons where it did make an audible click sound when you pressed them. And that did get picked up on every video I made and every live stream I did when I had that particular device. Now, I learned a technique where I could press them gently enough that you didn't really hear the click very loud, and yet I was still able to press the button. That worked pretty well. But then I swapped that out for the black fader port, the fader port 2018, or the fader port V2, as it's also known, with its nice, soft, smooth, rubbery buttons. They're really great. And now you don't really hear me pressing the transport controls or anything else on the fader port when I'm doing this show or when I'm making any videos. It's really, really great. And so the I/O station is essentially a Studio 24 interface with a fader port 2018 on top of it. It's basically, that's what it is. It's those two devices sandwiched together. And they're really, really good devices. I know a lot of people that have them and enjoy using them. I wanted to get my hands on one, but unfortunately I wasn't able to because the units all sold very, very quickly. So I did not get the chance to get hold of one. But they're very, very cool devices. Let's see. Tony says, as always, you went the extra mile to help. No problem, Tony. It is what I do. I like to give people as detailed a set of solutions for their issues as I possibly can. So in your case, either import song data or export stems is going to solve your problem. So yes. Let's see. Ron Figueroa says power cycled the Revelator and the IO24. Oh no, I need to back up. He says Universal Control is reporting no devices available when I start the UC dashboard. That's likely because they are not being reported to your computer system. What I would suggest you do is you go into on your system. I don't know whether you're using a Mac or a PC, but whichever you're using, you need to go into your system settings where you can see all of your USB peripheral devices and see if they show up in there. If they're not showing up in there, then they are not going to be reported to Universal Control as available devices. So it could be that your USB ports where those devices are connected have crashed. In which case, one of the things you can do is just restart your computer. And when you restart your computer, it should reinitialize those USB ports. And then when Universal Control also restarts, they should be listed as available devices. I would give that a try first. So completely shut off your computer. Let it sit shut down for a minute or two. And then power up your computer, go through your normal procedure that you do for getting your computer started up. And then once it's all started up, then open up Universal Control and see if the devices are being reported to Universal Control. So the only reason why Universal Control would say, hey, no available devices is because it's not seeing them, because they're not being reported to it by the USB buses. So I would do that. Let's see. Ron Figueroa says power cycle the Revelator and the i224, same error. I can hear audio, I just can't get to UC to make adjustments. Neil says getting to know the media folder is great too. Then a person can do whatever file swapping within Windows File Explorer. Yes, you can. However, big caveat. If you move audio files from the media files, the media folder, I should say, for the song folder, if you start taking stuff out of that folder and then you launch the song, you will get missing files errors because Studio One does not see the audio file anymore. So let's say you record a tenor saxophone, and it sounds fantastic. You're really happy with it. You save the song. That audio file now goes into the media folder. If, let's say, you close the song, you go into the song folder itself, you open the media folder, and you take out that tenor saxophone and you put it somewhere else without actually copying it, you just move it. Then what will happen is when you restart the song, when you recorded the tenor saxophone, it will give you a missing files error because it will say, hey, that tenor sax part doesn't exist. I can't find it. Because it's expecting the audio file to be in the media folder. Okay? Here is a well-known, well-misunderstood misconception, not just about Studio One, but about DAWs in general and how they work with managing files. And this is true of every DAW. Okay? Your audio files that you record in your song do not get stored inside of the program. Just like your songs do not get stored inside of Studio One. They get stored in a separate location, which is set in Studio One options or preferences, locations, user data. Okay? That's the path that Studio One looks for your songs. And that's where it reads all that song data from. Okay? Your songs are separate. And everything that you see on the screen, so if I go back over here to this song here, if I turn off the mixer, all of these audio files here, and this, for MIDI, it's different. MIDI is different. MIDI is stored inside the song. MIDI data is stored inside the song, but audio data is not. Those are media files that are stored inside the media folder for this song. Okay? So, although I see this song displayed here, Studio One is referencing these events here from the media folder. And it knows where each folder, where each of these audio events lives on the screen and in time, and what color and everything else they should be, and exactly where they should be. Okay? So none of this is actually stored inside of Studio One. I know this sounds like I'm going right back to bare bones basics, but some people who are watching may not actually be familiar with how file management in DAWs actually works. And believe me, this is not something, something stupid, because I have dealt with people who, they've been mixing for 25, 30 years, and they're really highly experienced, very, very good mixing engineers, but they just have assumed that everything just gets stored inside of Studio One or Cubase or Pro Tools or whatever DAW it is that they use. Doesn't. It's just like Microsoft Word. Your Word documents are not stored inside of Microsoft Word. They're stored in your documents location on your computer. And when you open up Microsoft Word and you load that document is being referenced from the file inside of documents on your computer. It's not inside of Microsoft Word. And so it is in a very similar way, not the same, but very similar way with DAWs. Is you have image data, which creates all these nicely drawn waveforms. And then you have the audio data itself. And all of those two things in particular, there's many other things as well, but those two things in particular are stored in folders inside your song folder, and Studio One references that data and brings that in to the song in Studio One. It's very, very sophisticated, very cool. How it does it, particularly in Studio One. It's very elegant, actually. File management in Studio One is extremely elegant and straightforward compared to other DAWs that I've used. But this is broadly how DAWs work. So and like I said, I'm not going to mention this guy's name, but he is a very, very experienced mix engineer. And the way he was working was he devised his own little filing system. And so when he was working with his clients, he was mixing the client's songs. When he received the songs from received the stems from the client, what he was doing was this. He'd bring everything into a new song, and he would set everything up, and he would start working on the song. And then what he would do, once he had finished the mix, he would then separate the song file, the .song file that launches the song in Studio One, and put that into a file, a folder that he had created called songs. So all the .songs went in that folder. And then he had another folder called audio data, and he put all the media from the media folders inside that. Now, he didn't just like move the media folder and from the song folder and just kind of like have all of these folders inside this audio data folder. That would have been smart. He didn't do that. He took individual files and dragged them into this audio data folder. So now it had multiple bass parts, multiple keyboard parts, multiple saxophone parts, multiple whatever audio, and there were thousands of these individual sound files inside this folder. So when he came back to finish up the mix the next day, he opened the song and he had 400 missing files errors on this song. And he couldn't understand why. And then he opened up another song and he's just like, this one's got 400 as well. This one's got 300. This one's got 200. This one's got 500 missing files. What the bleep is going on? And so he made a technical support ticket, which I responded to. And I worked with this guy to try and figure out what was going on. And after a little bit of back and forth for, I think like 48 hours. The next day I suddenly worked out exactly what was going on. I said, are you by any chance separating the .song file and the audio files that are in the media folder into like a completely other filing system? And he came back and he says, yes. And I was just like, oh no. My heart sank. I was just like, oh no. Because I realized that he had several songs like this, because he'd sent me a bunch of screenshots. He had several songs like this. I was just like, oh no. What a mess. And I said, can we do like a remote session? So we went and we did a remote session. I logged into his computer and he showed me his filing system that he had devised, which is what I just mentioned. And I was just like, I'm really sorry, but this is not how Studio One works. And I said, as far as I'm aware, this is not how any DAW works. You have to use the filing system that was created for that DAW. You can't just create your own filing system, because that's why Studio One is not finding your files, because it's expecting the audio files to be in that media folder, and they're not, because you've taken them out. And I said, how long have you been doing this? And he goes, maybe about a year. A year? A year of doing that with a whole bunch of songs. Yep. A year of, wow. So I was just like, the only thing you can do is try and repair the filing system for. I showed him what should be in a song folder, because we created one. We took one particular song and I said, look, let's create the correct filing structure for that particular song. And then I said, I've created a media folder inside of this song folder. This song folder has got this title for this song, so we know that Studio One is going to reference this folder. So we put the .song file in that folder, and then I created a media folder for that song folder, and then I said, you're going to have to help me find these files. So it took about an hour, but we found all of those files and we dragged them into that media folder. And then I said, great, let's launch the song. We launched the song. Studio One found everything. Instantly, everything worked as it should, and no missing files errors. I said, you're going to have to do that for every single one of the affected songs. And I can't sit here and, kind of help you through it, because it's going to take probably weeks, if not months, for you to repair the damage. And he goes, lesson learned. And I don't know how he's got on, but I hope he's managed to fix it all. But so the caveat there is, yes, you can file swap using the media folder inside the songs folder, but that has risks. You can end up with missing files errors in your songs if you don't know what you're doing. So proceed with caution and proceed with care to make sure that you don't end up with missing files errors. Because Studio One is referencing that media folder for everything, every audio file that is in your song, every audio event that is in your song, it is referencing that folder. And if it comes across, it'll say, hey, there is an audio event here at bar 66 for Wurlitzer. It's not there in the folder. And so then it will throw up an error saying, hey, this audio event's not found. You need to use, either Finder on a Mac or Windows Explorer to try and locate where that file is, and either just put it back where it belongs or point Studio One to that particular location for that file. But really, try not to put, different files in different places over here, over there, over there, over there, over there for one song, because basically you're going to make your hard drive look for things in a scatological fashion. It's going to be looking all kinds of different places for files. You don't want that. That's going to create issues for your song. You could end up with, I don't know, all sorts of invalid data errors, a whole bunch of different errors, which you don't want. And you certainly don't want your computer having to work faster and harder to try and find your audio events. So make sure all of your audio events for your song are in the media folder for that song and keep them there, because that is how Studio One works. That is also how Cubase works, and that is also how Logic works, and that is also how Pro Tools works. Those are the four doors that I have actually used. I used Cubase for close to 30 years. And in that time, I also used Logic before Apple bought it. And I've also used Pro Tools because I've worked in some, major studios like Air Studios in London, for example, and Abbey Road. I've worked there a bit as well. And so, I'm familiar with Pro Tools. I've used it enough to be familiar with it. And I know that it has a similar file structure. So don't try and change it to make it your own thing. It's just not worth it. Let's see. Neil says, when doing anything with the media folder, always copy, not cut or move. Fortunately, drag and drop within Windows is a copy by default. That is correct. But still, yeah, do it with some care. All right, so we have reached the end of the show. It is 3 minutes past 1 because my little rant there kind of went over a wee bit. Because it's important. I needed to tell that story so that you guys don't fall into that particular trap again at any time. So John Hathwaite says would be useful to have a file name suffix as well. Maybe, I don't know. I've never really seen a need for a file name suffix, but okay. Make a feature request for that, John, over at answers.personas.com. Ron Figura says PC. He's on PC. Yeah, you can try reinstalling Universal Control, but I think the first thing you need to do is check that everything shows up in Device Manager, and you said it does. So yeah, reboot your computer, restart Universal Control, all of that fun stuff. Because the only reason why devices are not showing up in Universal Control is because the system is not reporting them to Universal Control. So yeah. All right, so we are at the end of the show. I will see you guys next week on this day, on Sunday. No show on Wednesday. However, if you guys decide to have a Zoom, I may join it from my phone. We shall see. But until then, I will see you guys on Sunday for Sunday Night Live. Like I said, we'll do maybe some songwriting questions as well. But yeah, it's ostensibly going to be Sunday Night Live. Until then, folks, have a great week. I will see you then. And I'm going to play out with a little bit more of that Roaring Rocket song because I can. And because this is my show. So if you like it, please stick around and listen until the end of the song. And if you like this, please let me know. And it will go up onto Bandcamp when I've finished it all, and you can buy it from there if you want to. All right, folks. Good night. Have a great week. Cheers.